Ollie in, Ollie out, that's all that our fans are talking about. Ollie in, Ollie out, I just scream and shout. Like, have I got to give you a reason? Woodward went and gave Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a new contract mid-season. Big betrayal of trust, that's treason. Like, what is he proving? Every time that we get to a semi-final of a cup tournament, we're losing. No excusing, got a man fuming. What? Flexing KG, I would love to hear your opinion. You already know what option I'm choosing. What? Ollie in, Ollie out, that's all that our fans are talking about. Ollie in, Ollie out, I just scream and shout. Like, have I got to give you a reason? Woodward went and gave Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a new contract mid-season. Big betrayal of trust, that's treason. Like, what is he proving? Every time that we get to a semi-final of a cup tournament, we're losing. No excusing, got a man fuming. What? Flexing KG, I would love to hear your opinion. You already know what option I'm choosing. What? Yo, it's your boy Firms and you're tuned into another show. It's the OT99 Banter Room where opinions are shared and smoke gets served. Let's go. So look, today's topic of discussion, if you don't already know, is it Ollie in or is it Ollie out? Do you know what? This argument is probably redundant anyway, because if you're anyone that's anyone, you'll know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has already been offered a new contract. Yeah, it hasn't been announced officially, but the rumor is he's got a new contract offer. He's got a bumper salary in his contract, an additional 2.5 million a year to his coffers. Look, I'm here to talk about should he stay or should he go. Let's get into it, because you know what? You'll know my opinion, and I'm going to give you the pros and I'm going to give you the cons, and then I'm just going to give you, quite frankly, what I feel, you know, whether he should stay or go. Now let's get into it. So we look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Obviously he's been here for about a year and a half now, 2 years, and you know, originally he was brought in to be that, you know, interim manager, you know, settle the storm. When Mourinho was here, you know, even though we got us a second place finish and he won us a trophy as well in his reign, Europa League or whatever it is, there was a lot of turmoil in the club. There was a lot of issues with Pogba especially, but not only that, you had Luke Shaw, you had Martial, who were on the fringes basically and could have been sold if the board allowed it. I mean, we all like to, you know, rubbish the board, but the one good thing probably then was, you know, us keeping him, because obviously you know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in and, for example, Martial went on to have his best scoring record, or one of his best scoring records since he's been at Manchester United. You know, you see Luke Shaw, and you know, he was in Mourinho's bad books, is having, you know, he's our best left back. He's probably the best left back in Europe right about now, one of them anyway. And then Pogba, you know, Pogba, you have your ups and downs on Pogba, but there's no denying that with Pogba, our team is better. There's no midfielder in football right now that's got his sort of physique, his frame, his strength, you know, his technical ability all rolled up in one. And that's a big bonus, and we can see it of recently. We've seen it in our performances that, you know, when Pogba's in a team, it's a much better team. I mean, for all the moaning and groaning that we do with Pogba and him not being consistent or whatever, we can't deny that United is a better team with him in it. And without him, we will struggle to replace him. I don't think we can replace him. Do you know what I mean? So there was a lot of turmoil. Let's get into it. And then there was a lot of turmoil, and you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came. He settled the storm. You know, he put our arm around Pogba, put our arm around Martial, put our arm around Luke Shaw. Got the best out of them in the first season. Certainly in the second season for Luke Shaw. Not so much second season for Martial. And Pogba's been here and there, injuries, and that has been affected his, you know, form as well. But he's kept them, and that's a good thing, because we couldn't afford to lose those three players. And so he's done all of that, and then he's you know, got rid of the dead weight. So obviously we had that massive signing with Sanchez. You know, we brought him out playing the piano. We announced it to the world, and the best thing he done was play those chords on the piano. He did not do anything for us basically, and we got ripped off. We was playing about 500k or whatever it was a week. It's the biggest salary we've ever given to any player, and he wasn't deserving of it, and it was just it was a leech to our club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in, got him that loan move. Yeah, paid, you know, part or most of the salary, if not all of it, at Inter, but he got him the move. You know, he got him the move, and that, what was it? No. He got him a move without no fee, no transfer fee, but you know, Inter took on all of those wages, and it was a good thing for us. You know, it freed up a lot of our wage budget, got rid of him. you know, he got rid of a lot of players. You know, Rojo, you know, Romero, arguably, you know, he got buoyed. It's not arguably, he did get buoyed. He should have never got treated that way. But we all know with the Henderson issue, you know, with the media, and you know, English goalkeepers. Let me not get into it, but yeah, Romero got sacrificed. But there's no point having 3 goalkeepers at your club, is there? So, you know, he's still at our club, but you know, that path has already been set for Romero to move on. Guys like, who else is there? Diego Dalot got his loan move. Of recent, Lingard's got his loan move. We've got Pereira, you know, loan move. We've got Smalling, who got moved on. And yeah, people say that he's probably still one of our best centre-backs, but he deserved to move. We've seen enough of him at Manchester United to know, you know, it was his time to move on, and we're not significantly missing anything anyway. So there's a lot of players that, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's shifted out, and there's some that I may have missed. And there's a lot that he's had to do there. And, you know, obviously he's brought the players in that he's brought in. You know, Maguire, who is not doing well, is not meeting the price tag. You know, he has some good games here and there, but overall he's had more poor games than good games. And that's probably down to other factors as well, like maybe he's partnering him, or our protection in the midfield, or maybe our tactics in terms of closing down and defending as a team from up front and pressing high, because we don't do any of those things, so it's not going to help your defense. Do you know what I mean? So there's a number of factors. There's a number of factors that come into play with, you know, Lindelof and Maguire's form or anything like that. But he's not meeting our price tag. Let's be honest. Him personally, you know, there's been rumours that, you know, Maguire sometimes doesn't take responsibility for his own actions as the captain. He's not commanding. He hasn't really got the respect of certain players. At times you hear, you know, it came out with the recording of Rashford and Maguire getting into a spat that went public. And yeah, it might be normal to some viewers, but when I heard that, I just thought, you know what I mean, this would never happen in Roy Keane's day. You wouldn't have a Rashford talking to him like that. You already know what time it is in the locker room. No offense to Rash, but it's one of those ones. So I was just thinking, yeah, it's all a mess. But you know, you got Wan-Bissaka as well, who I thought was an excellent signing. 50 million, I think it's worth the money. I still think right now is one of the best, if not the best, one-on-one defenders out there, period. Do you know what I mean? He's got a lot of improvement to do attack-wise, but we didn't buy him for that. We saw what he can do defensively, and that's the reason why we bought him, with the aim of trying to sort of train him and build up his attacking prowess. So what I would have definitely paid 50 million for that defending. Yeah, his performance has tailored off a little bit, but you know, overall perfect. So Oli made that signing, and I congratulate him for that. And then we got Dan James, who's, you know, it was a one for the future signing, but obviously with our team and how it was, you know, he came in and he was used a lot more than he probably should have been. He started off well, and then he kind of declined, and then he fizzled out, and now he's got back into the team now, and he's getting, you know, a few goals recently. You know, he's playing decent performances, he's working hard, he's tracking back and all of that stuff. So kudos to Dan James, and I'm not mad at that signing, Dan James, either. Obviously, he's not a first team guy, he's not a starter. He shouldn't be starting for us, but he is. But he's a good squad guy, I see it as, you know. Maybe he'll benefit from a loan in future, but I mean, if I had to grade that signing, I'll give it like a C. Maguire, I'll give it like a C. And Wan-Bissaka, I'll give it like a B minus, maybe. And then there's Bruno Fernandes. So Bruno Fernandes is our best signing. His stats are insane. He's getting forward stats as a midfielder. But obviously, arguably, you know, people can say that Oli, it was by chance that we even got him. Tottenham almost scooped him up. I don't know why we didn't get him in summer. We ended up getting him in January. And it was probably because all other options failed and we had injuries as well, whatever it is. So that one's by chance. But you know what? He's an Oli signing. It goes down as an Oli signing, and he's doing well. So overall, I'll give all of his transfers, you know, we know what happened this summer with Cavani and all of that stuff. It's all a mess. Cavani, he shows up in 50% of games. He's just fit-wise. He's just having niggling injuries and all of that stuff. He's kind of, you know, reached his peak clearly. And then you've got Telles, who hardly gets any game time anyway. He plays the odd Europa League game here and there, but he's not really been getting used enough for me to even fully judge him like that. But I would say he's an okay, good substitute. He's okay. And then you've got who else is there? Amad Diallo, that only came in come January. And he's only got a couple of games. He only gets a few minutes here and there. And you got Facundo Palestri, who's out on loan. So we really went into the new season with basically the same squad. Cavani with, you know, the odd few cameos from Telles and Cavani, but we needed first team guys to be starting in our squad, not guys that's sitting on a bench, because that's just the place where our team is at the moment. So overall, I'll give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, you know, probably his transfer window maybe a C- again, if that. Probably a high D+. And you know what? All of it is not down to him. Obviously, the board has a lot to do with it, and our incompetencies with dealing with the transfer window. It's been happening before Ole. It's been happening for ages. Even Ferguson, he's been getting the best out of certain players for all this time, and we just haven't realised it. But our team had a lot of cracks in it, and when he did leave, we can see all of the mess that, you know, unfolded before our eyes. But yeah, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's done, you know, he's not really done all right with the transfers. He's got Bruno Fernandes and Wan-Bissaka, who I'm happy about, but other than that, it's a bit wishy-washy. On the pitch, obviously, he finished third. You know, Bruno Fernandes had a lot to do with that last season. He did really well. I mean, one thing about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he goes on a run, and he's one of the only managers that are able to put on a run like that continuously, and he's done really well. And I commend him for that. You know, when his back's against the ropes, he seems to pull it out the bag, get the run, and then, you know, he keeps pushing on. But then he goes on a dip again, and we're seeing it now, even this season, where, you know, we're struggling for multiple games to even score, drawing so many games that we could have nicked and won. And that's the difference between like a team of, you know, champions and then a team that's just still in transition, basically. Because you saw it last season with Liverpool. Even when they're having a bad game, they'll still nick a goal, they'll still go on to win the game. City right now, they're just on fire. But United, we're too up and down at the moment, and especially when our first team squad's not on the pitch, we look shaky. When Bruno Fernandes is not on the pitch, we look shaky. So we're just a couple of injuries away from having a really bad season, if you know what I mean. And yeah, it's not like sustainable, this football. You would have loved to see, like, if you look at Brendan Rodgers, for example, and look at his squad. Me personally, I look at it and say, you know, Brendan is having a big influence as to why, you know, they were consistently competing for top 4 place last season and this season. Where they are now is due to Brendan Rodgers and his tactical priorities, like his experience, his knowledge. And then you've got like David Moyes, for example. He's had a long stint at Everton. Yeah, he came to Man United and he failed. He didn't get given enough time, some people will say, but you know, he's having a great run with West Ham. You know, made an excellent signing with Lingard, and he's doing well, and he's challenging for top 4. And I put that down to Moyes. And then with Ole and Manchester United, I just don't know whether it's our players that's bailing him out, because we've got, you know, the Pogbas and we've got the Rashfords and we've got the Brunos, that's world class, or is it down to, you know, Ole's tactics and abilities? I don't know. I feel like it's too funny. I ain't gonna say that Ole hasn't got tactics, because I don't believe you play 29 games or whatever it is, or 28 games that we've played this season, and be second and you say that's a manager that hasn't got any tactics. I don't believe that. He has got tactics, whether it's to the standards and level as us Manchester United fans want. That's another story, do you know what I mean? But I wouldn't say, oh, it's lucky, it's fluky that he's getting, you know, wins because he's got star players. I mean, Lampard had star players. He bought the all-stars, you know what I mean? And yet he's the one to get fired. And now it's taking Tuchel, who's got managerial sort of expertise, like real experience and knowledge, and managed at a big stage to come in, you know, and make a difference. And you saw the instant change. So I just wonder, like, if we had a Brendan Rodgers at Manchester United, how would we be performing? How many points would there be between us and City? Would we be above, on top of the table? It's yet to be seen. And obviously I'm a big advocate for Brendan Rodgers, but I know that he's managed Liverpool, and I know what that means. As Manchester United fans, we don't want that stain in our club. We did want a Pep Guardiola, we did want all of these managers, but that was before they managed City. I don't know. I think that ship has sailed now. I don't think these managers even want to come to Manchester United, and I don't even know if Manchester United will go for these managers. It's yet to be seen, but you know, we're stuck with Ole now. He's been offered that contract. You know, it's probably a matter of time before they announce it. I didn't like that they did that so early. I would have preferred that they gave him a contract at the end of the season, see where he finished, see if he picked up any trophies, then go forward. By them offering him trophies, that's making me think, like, what's the point then? Do you know what I mean? Like, are you settling for what you settling for in terms of the board? Like, what's your what's your ambition? But then on the other hand, you can see it as, you know, we believe in his project. You know, we're sticking with him, long-term thing. And there's an element of that I do like, don't get me wrong. It's just, do I believe Oli is the right man to achieve that level of ambition that he thinks he can achieve with our club? That's the issue. What I'm seeing is that I'm not getting that full confidence that Oli is the guy that is going to be winning titles for us, winning the Premier League anytime soon. You've seen how many finals we've got to, and we've just missed out. You know, recently we got knocked out of FA Cup, and I think we should have won that against Leicester City. We're still in Europa League, and yeah, we've got a good opportunity of winning that, but I don't have any confidence, especially the way that we got knocked out against Leicester. It's not about losing that game against Leicester, it's about how we lost that game. It was terrible. I did see the lineup, and I did think, yeah, you know, that's a good lineup. You know, Van der Beek, Donny, they're getting game time, Tellers or whatever. But we just got smashed off the park, and it just shows how vulnerable we are when we haven't got Bruno in the squad. We're just very vulnerable. And then again, you start to think, why isn't your tactics and your, you know what I mean, kicking in there? Why isn't your tactics kicking in there? It's just terrible. It's terrible how we can't win again. I mean, Leicester's not a small team, don't get me wrong, but we shouldn't be getting battered like that 3-1. You can lose a game, but don't get battered like that 3-1. And you should be able to get through games like that without Bruno, using your tactical abilities, like your skill set, like your experience, and we just couldn't do it. So it doesn't give me any hope. But then again, anyway, so that's that. So I'm just looking at the pros and cons. Yeah, Ollie's come in and he's settled a lot of the issues at the club, and he's, you know, finished third. He's now currently second. You know, he's doing well on that front, but on the other end, you know, I just don't know if he's the right man to win us trophies. You know, he's some of his decision making. He'll be bringing on substitutes really late, as we all know. You know what I mean? Sometimes not even attacking substitutes when we're, you know, losing or drawing in a game and we need to go on to win it or equalize. It's just shocking, considering he was a substitute himself for his career, and he was a guy that was coming on to score the winning goals. It's also one of those things as well that, you know, he's a striker, and Martial, he's not getting a tune out of him this season as well, where you would have thought that would have been his expertise. You know, stuff happens in terms of form, but, you know, we're 29 games in, and nothing ain't changing with Martial, so it's just raising eyebrows there. Yeah, and I just don't know. I mean, we let Pochettino leave and go, and, you know, some people say there's no guarantee that Pochettino, you know, has got no history of winning anything, but for me, he's a guy that got to a Champions League final. He's a guy that, you know, done really well with Southampton, done really well with Tottenham in terms of making them a top 4 team. Like I said, got to a Champions League final, lost that, but he has experience of getting to a final. That's, you know, a stage more than Ollie's done at the moment. But I can understand why people say, you know, he hasn't won anything, and, you know, he's at PSG now where he has the opportunity. And, you know, obviously would have cost Manchester United more money. If you're, you know, thinking about the finances behind it, it would have been a lot of money. And yeah, another guy that's probably not fully established. So I just don't know. But for me, my issue with this situation with Ollie is that he hasn't even completed the season, and we've offered him a new contract apparently. And if he does get this new contract, would that, you know, we saw what happened when he got a contract before. Our performance dipped, everything dipped, and we went on a bad run, and I don't want that happening again. So if he has agreed a contract or whatever, just announce it to win. Just wait till the season is over before you announce anything like that. But I don't know if that would happen. But, you know, my personal opinion anyway is this. Obviously, we finished third last season, you know, trophyless. This season, I would like us to finish second at least. Even if we didn't win any trophy, we've got to finish second to say at least there's some progress. People may say that's still not even progress, but if you look at the season. But for me, that would be progress. If we're second in the league, have a decent gap between the rest. If we can pick up a trophy, that would be great. I would say yes, Ollie deserves a new, you know, contract extension, because if you're finishing second and getting Europa League, do you know what I mean? You can't really argue with that. If he finishes third, he definitely needs a trophy with that Europa League for him to get a new contract, in my opinion. Otherwise, you haven't made no progression. If he finishes second, without any trophies, I would still class it as progression, and I'll still say give him a contract extension. Third with a trophy, give him a contract extension. If he gets third with no trophies, I can't really see the progression, and therefore I'll be pondering whether, you know, he should be staying. I will be like, you know what, we need to be looking for someone else that can progress us. You know, that's my opinion on this thing. But as it stands, you know, it's still open till the season ends, and I think that's the right thing to do. I think we just got to play it out and see what happens at the end of the season. See what happens in the transfer window as well. Because, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer again hasn't really got backed in the second season. Like Mourinho didn't get backed. And we all know what happens when you don't get backed. You get fired. You get fired the following year. You just get fired because, yeah, the board are ruthless like that. So I'd like to see him get backed with the players that he wants. I really don't think Donny van de Beek was a priority. I mean, 40 million is the new 50, 60, 70 million nowadays with COVID. And we paid 40 million for him, and he can hardly get a game, Donny van de Beek. It just makes me think, if that was really your signing, you know, wouldn't you be playing him a lot more? This made me feel like the board just said, you know what, he's a bargain, let's bring him in. Well, not a bargain in this current climate, but cheaper than any other option like Sancho or Grealish. Bring him in, and then we try to cover up the patches and move on. But Ole's not playing him, so I don't think he was his signing. Like I said, I went over the transfers, and it just, you know, none of those signings was his signings. In the beginning, we was hearing Grealish, we was hearing Sancho, and all of these names, and now what we brought in was totally polar opposites of that. So he never got a good season, so it's even hard to judge him. So on that aspect of things, and I do feel like if a guy that hasn't got as much experience, Solskjaer, he managed Cardiff or Molde or whatever like that, he hasn't managed a big club like Manchester United. He needs all the tools and support he can get to having a successful season. And if you're giving him a lack of tools, a lack of the players that he, you know, just reborn players, what do you expect? Do you know what I mean? What do you expect? So yeah, we have to see, man. We have to see. But that's me, and I'm out. That was Ole in, Ole out. No pun intended. OT99 Banter Room. Like, comment, subscribe, and support the team.